Rolling.
Alright, Shalom, Shalom. Giving all praises, honor and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Akakodash. Double honors as always to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone at Rulewell, who taught us this truth. Sincere Shalom to all you Akim that will be around the globe, teaching this word in faith and truth and in sincerity. And also to you sincere Akwath who are listening and learning and supporting the ministry thereby. As always, I'd like to start by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites. The real Israelites are so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians and West Africans predominantly. But don't get it twisted, because you are going to find Israelites that do look like the other nations, because as a people we've been scattered amongst all nations throughout our various captivities. But Numbers 1 and 18 states that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. So if your forefathers go back to the man in the Bible that was named Israel, then you too are an Israelite no matter what you may look like. So yeah, I'm just going to start out here. Brother's going to read Jeremiah 28 and 8 and we're going to get into it.
This is Jeremiah 28 and 8. The prophets that have been before me, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old, prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence.
That's right. So basically, what we represent out here right now is where those prophets, Lord willing, we be of the elect, coming back in our lot to prophesy the downfall against this kingdom. Because this isn't anything new that we're doing. The prophets have been before me of old, as the scriptures said, and they prophesied against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. So the fact that we're coming back in our lot right now, we're here to signify that this is the end of this current kingdom, which is Esau's rulership. Now, I just want to make a quick thing. When the prophets came on the scene back in the day, people got scared because they always used to wonder, does thou come in peace? Because we used to prophesy great things. And when you see a prophet turning up on the scene, that should really, if you're in your right mind, that should put fear in your heart, because the fact that the prophet's appearing means that Yahweh's got something to say about the situation. And you better hope that what Yahweh's got to say about the situation is for good for you, rather than ill for you, because us prophets, we are the mouthpiece of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Could you get me Isaiah 58 and 1, I believe?
Just like what was it, Isaiah
58 and 1.
This is Isaiah 58. Cry aloud, spare not.
That's right.
Lift up thy voice like a trumpet.
Right. But, sorry, I should tell you this stuff. It's okay.
That's
good, right? But yeah, that's right. We're supposed to cry aloud and spare not. Lift up our voice as a trumpet and show the people their transgressions. That's what we're doing. Us prophets, we represent the mouthpiece of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, because Yahweh is sitting on his throne. And a lot of people thinking, well, does God really exist? Well, if he really exists, why doesn't he come and show himself? Well, no. The Most High is a power that hides with himself, and he's not going to get up off his throne to come down and talk to you. Who the hell do you think you are? He sends his prophets to do his work, and that's what we represent. Read that again, Baba Kasha.
Isaiah 58. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins.
The water. That's great. Yeah, and that's right. We're supposed to cry aloud and spare not. I had a long journey getting to camp today. That's a whole testimony in itself. But I happened to be passing through Oxford Street on my way here, and there used to be a GMS London camp up on Oxford Street. It's not there anymore. But what I did see is I saw some Christians, and they're standing there. They were on the opposite side to where the brothers used to teach, and they're standing there, and they had a little sign which said, I am the way, the truth and the life, or something like that. They were basically, you know, promoting that idol, which is Jesus Christ, which isn't our Lord, whose name is Yahushai, who is a so-called dark-skinned man from the tribe of Judah. But they're out there proclaiming they're Jesus. But you know what they were doing? They weren't even teaching. They were just standing there playing some songs on a fucking radio, and they're just standing there with their hands in their pocket talking amongst themselves. I'm thinking, you know what? How the hell can you be... They're not the prophets anyway, we know that, but I'm just saying, how can you fucking Christians be the prophets when you're not bringing out the word of the Most High? All you're doing is standing there with your hands in your pocket, listening to fucking music. How is that teaching the people what the Lord said we should do? Read that again, Baba Kasha. Isaiah 58 and 1.
Isaiah 58 and 1. Cry aloud, spare not.
That's right.
Lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins.
That's right. So what were they doing to show the people of our nation their transgressions, so to get them into order so that they don't get their asses destroyed when Yahweh Hashem Yahushua returns. They weren't doing jack shit. They weren't doing jack shit, man. So the scriptures are pretty plain. You know, we're supposed to bring out the words of prophecy according as they were taught to us by elders and apostles. So if we could jump to, let me see. 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, please. Baba Kashar. Because we're bringing out the words of prophecy, and the word to prophesy means to say before. So if we're not doing that job, what the hell are we doing? We're not doing the work of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, so therefore you'll have no need for us. So you can't be in the truth if you're not doing the work. You got it?
Yep.
Got it from the top.
This is 2nd Ezra chapter 9. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs past, which you have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made.
Pause there, Baba Kashar. Thawara. Yeah, and that's right. So it says, measure thou the time diligently. So how do you measure it? To measure something, you need to know the parameters. For example, if you're going to measure a distance, you need to know a starting point and an ending point. So how do we measure the time diligently? By studying the prophecies and by looking at the things which are coming upon the earth, which were told us that would be coming in this time, which is in Matthew the 24th chapter. Matthew 24, Brother Kashar.
I grabbed it.
The water. And keep that on deck, 2nd Ezra 9 on deck, because we're going to go back now. Earthquakes, uppours of the people. Yeah, because our Lord Yahushua told us of these things almost just around 2,000 years ago. He told us of the signs that would be at the end to signify his coming.
It's Luke.
I usually get from Matthew, but if you get it, it's the same. Let me know you got it. Yeah, so our Lord told us 2,000 years ago the signs to look for in this time. You know, we're seeing more and more chariot signs. Let me know you got it.
Yeah, I've got it.
Alright, go ahead.
This is Luke 21, and let's start straight on 7. And he asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be? And what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? And he said, take heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed Christ.
Pause there. See, that's the point. Many are going to come in the name, but they're not coming in the true name, which is Yahushua. They're coming in that false way under the name of Jesus Christ. You know, and many people are following after them. You've got a lot of our people running up in them churches thinking that that's the house of the Most High, when the scriptures clearly say that the Lord doesn't dwell in temples built with hands. You know, the real temple is the elect. You know, the spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua has come upon us, and we're out here building the third temple, because we represent the house of David coming back together, which also ties in with Ezekiel 37. But I'm not going to go there yet. Keep reading, Baba Kashar.
And the time draweth near, go ye not after them. But when you shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass.
What's there? See, and we're hearing of these things all the time. I mean, on your channel, for example, I know you post a lot of news articles. All you got to do is open your eyes, man, and you can see that this world is in a state of complete upheaval and unrest. And a lot of the things that are going on around the world aren't even reported in the mainstream news, because they don't want you to know how much this world is fucking falling apart. But if you've got eyes to see and ears to hear, you know for yourself this world is falling apart, because wickedness upon wickedness upon wickedness cannot sustain itself. You know what I mean? That shit's always going to come to an end, but righteousness is going to stand forever. Keep reading, Baba Kashar.
But the end is not by and by. Then said he unto them on verse 10, nation shall rise against nation,
Yep.
and kingdom against kingdom.
Pause there, Baba Kashar. I was just reading the news a few days ago, it might have been yesterday or Thursday, and it was talking about how tensions are heating up between the United States and Iran. Things are getting really hot over there, you know. It's like those are part of the prophecies that we're supposed to be watching out for. Now, if you're a simpleton and you say, oh, but how do you know the Bible is true? You know, how do you know the Bible is true? Well, all you've got to do is look at the prophecies that were written before our time and compare them with what's taking place on the earth right now. The scriptures say that the Most High in Joel the 3rd chapter is going to gather the nations unto the valley of Jehoshaphat, which in Hebrew is Yahweh Shaphat, which means Yahweh's judgment. And if you look and you see the way these nations are aligning themselves, you can see it falls perfectly in line with prophecies that are written before, even before Yahushua was on the scene, thousands and thousands of years ago. I mean, even if you go back to the book of Daniel, what was that, Babylonian kingdom? Yep. So in the Babylonian kingdom, Daniel had the vision of the, Nebuchadnezzar had the vision of the statue, and Daniel interpreted the meaning of the statue, which represented all the nations that would come on the earth before Yahushua returns. Like he had a head of gold.
Do you want that?
No, I'm just gonna stay on Matthew 24. Oh. Actually, no, let's get it.
I still got Matthew 24.
Let the word speak rather than me.
Daniel's 2.
Come on.
This is Daniel's 2 and 31. The old king saw it, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. Verse 32. This image head was of fine gold.
Yep.
His breast and his arms of silver.
Pause there. So the head that was of fine gold, that represented Nebuchadnezzar's empire at the time, which is the Babylonian Empire, the head of gold. And the chest, which was silver, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that represented the Medo-Persian Empire, if I remember correctly.
Correct. Darius.
Yep. Yeah, King Darius ruled the empire, yeah? Carry on.
His belly and his thighs of brass.
Hold there. So that brass belly and thigh represented the Greek Empire. Go ahead.
His legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part clay.
Yep. And the legs of iron represented the Roman Empire. Then the feet of part iron and part clay represents the revival of the Roman Empire, which is what we're in right now.
That's right.
And the iron mixed with the miry clay is to signify that this empire is going to be very unstable. You know what I mean? Like iron and clay that really gel together like that. Too tough. Carry on, Baba Kasha.
Thou sawest till that stone was cut out without hands.
Yep, and that stone that was cut out without hands represents Yahushua. Go ahead.
Which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay.
Pause there, Baba Kasha. So that great stone that smote the feet of the statue, that was Yahushua coming back, and that signifies that Yahweh is going to destroy all these kingdoms, and he's going to set up his own kingdom. Like, we're not going to have our kingdom in another person's kingdom, because that isn't what Yahweh wants. And also, we're not going to be, what do you call it, when a couple of years back over here, we had an election and the Conservatives joined with the Liberal Democrats. Two parties had a joint decision, so they formed a coalition. Yeah, okay. And this is back when David Cameron was in number 10. So they had a coalition government, but if you notice, the Liberal Democrats, they used to wear yellow ties all the time, but as soon as they made that coalition, they changed their ties to purple. Like, so that shows that they were acquiescing to the will of the Conservatives. Now we know that all these governmental parties are puppet leaders and they're bought and paid for, but that should show you that the weaker party took on the traits of the larger party, right? And everybody was complaining, saying, oh, we expected more from the Liberal Democrats, they didn't do this, they didn't do that. But they were basically just following the agenda of the Conservatives. So what I'm saying about that is to say this. Us Israelites, we're not going to have a coalition government with Esau. We're not going to have a coalition government with the Egyptians, because we were taken out of Egypt. We didn't want a coalition then. We didn't have a coalition with the Babylonians, the Medo-Persians, the Greeks, the Romans, and the Romans coming back again in this revival. There's not going to be no coalition. It's going to be Yahushua's kingdom, and all these other nations are going to be put down. You got something?
Yeah, I got something.
Go on, bring it out.
This is Psalms 145 and 13. Thy kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and thy dominion endureth throughout all generations.
That's right. Is there any more?
Yeah, a little bit more. The Lord thou shalt upholdeth all that fall, and raiseth up all those that be bowed down.
Yep.
That's it on that.
That's a good precept, because that reminds me of the parable of Lazarus. The poor man, Lazarus. The Most High said he's going to lift up the poor. We represent, Lazarus represents us. We are currently in a very, very low state, a very degradable state, if that's the word to use. And Esau wants to keep us here. But it's not going to work that way, because the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai is to raise us up. You got something?
Yeah, I've got a quick one for you, yeah?
Go ahead, bring it up.
Revelation 18 and 21 says, And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it unto the sea, thus saying, with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all.
That is right. You got something to say?
Yeah, because that guy came up, didn't he, earlier, and he said, what are we? And he mentioned about his Christian church, and we said GMS. What does it stand for? So, you know, it stands for the end of this system, and it, the name, the title, GMS, which was given, which was handed down, you know, it stands for Great Millstone, which the Great Millstone is that stone representing Yahushua when he come back, and you mentioned the image, and that's what's going to happen to the image.
That's right, that's a good precept and right on point. And that is, you know, a very spiritual name, you know, the Great Millstone. You know, because Yahushua, as we said, is that great millstone coming to crush this kingdom. Keep reading on Daniel, please, Baba Kashar.
Okay, there's more. This is verse 34, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and break them to pieces.
Hold there. Now, what happens if you smote someone's feet? If you strike someone's feet, they're not going to be able to stand. And that's exactly what Yahushua is doing to this kingdom. But before the destruction comes, we have to prophesy, because all of this has to play out. Keep holding this. All of this has to play out in its order, because the Most High deals with order. He says, let everything be done decently and in order. So the order is this. Yahushua is going to destroy this place, but before he destroys this place, he's going to send these prophets, and these prophets are going to warn the people. Why is this going to happen? Because the elect need to be sealed. So how are the elect going to be sealed? By hearing this word and adhering to it, and coming back to the knowledge, wisdom and understanding of who they are, understanding that they're not so-called black, they're not so-called West Indian, they're not so-called Africans, they're not Latinos, they're not Native Americans, they're not Hispanics. Coming back to the knowledge that they're the Israelites. Once they come back to that, and the elect is sealed, which is going to be 144,000 men from all the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, and the 1/3 that are destined to be saved along with them. Right. Once they are all sealed in their foreheads, then comes the destruction. Yeah? But before that all happens, the prophets are going to appear. So let's put it this way. Since, could you give me Obadiah 1, please? Because basically, Esau's been ruling the earth for the past, I'd say, what is it, about 300, 400 years? Since the Renaissance period. And the height of Esau's power was around, it reached its apex around 1969, when Esau just tried to put his nest amongst the stars. That is written in Obadiah 1, which we're going to get in a moment. And from that point, Yahweh's been bringing this man down. You know, bringing him down, exposing him. And if you look at the prophecies, you can see that it's all a sequential process, because while Esau reached his apex around 1969, that's when the Most High, around that similar time, started to raise us up. You know, starting with Elder Abba Bivens coming back on the scene, who represented Elijah.
That's right.
To turn the heart of the children to their fathers. But we'll read this, Obadiah 1.
This is Obadiah 1, the vision of Obadiah.
Pause there. So the vision of Obadiah, what does that mean? As prophets, Elder Apostle Gabar always says that we have to be visionaries. See, we see these things before they happen. That's why we're able to foresee and prophesy. But the difference between us and the difference between the people of the world that are not in His truth is that they don't have any vision, because the scriptures say, roughly paraphrasing, where there is no vision, the people perish. See? And we are the visionaries. What were the prophets called before they were called the prophets? Seers. Yeah, so we see the things that are not yet apparent, because we've got spiritual discernment, which is a gift of grace, a gift by the grace of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, that we're able to foresee these things. But the fact of the matter is that for those of our people, because we're only trying to wake up our people, the Israelites, for those of our people who don't have that vision, they need to turn to the seer or the prophet and adhere to the words that the prophets are speaking thereby. That way they can think, okay, maybe I don't see it the way they see it 100%, but I believe in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and I believe that it's coming back. So we represent that sort of that grace that is being extended to them by Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, because if Yahweh wanted to destroy this place, He could just destroy it like that. But He sent the prophets to warn the people, so that the people are without excuse when the destruction comes. Keep reading, Baba Kasha.
The vision of Obadiah doth serve the Lord Yahushua power concerning Edom.
Yep.
We have heard a rumor of...
So who is Edom? Who is the nation of Edom? The nation of Edom is predominantly you so-called white people upon the face of the earth today. You know, you so-called Great British, you so-called French, you know, you so-called Germans, so-called Americans, you know, so-called Australians. For the most part, you're the Edomites because your forefather was Esau. Yep. But don't get it twisted. You are going to get some people who are going to have leprosy and they might look like Edomites, but their seed line goes back to their forefather Jacob, which is our forefather. So they are Israelites if they are of that seed line. But if they're not, then they're straight up Edomites. And that's the nation that Yahweh has indignation against forever. And this is the nation who the prophet Obadiah was speaking against. Read on, Bible.
We have heard a rumor from the Lord Yahushua. An ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Want to continue?
Yeah, keep going.
Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen.
Yep.
Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thy heart hath deceived thee.
Yep, pause there. So that's another way that you tell who these Edomites are, because they're very proud people. You know what I mean? You can just look at their countenance and see these people. They just exude pride, even if they've got no reason to be proud. They are just proud, you know, and they magnify themselves. Read on, Baba Kashan, until Oasis, among the stars.
The pride of thy heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks.
Pause there, Baba Kashan. So thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, you know, back in after the fall of the first Roman Empire, what were you people doing? You were living in the caves and in the rocks, you know, living in Mount Seir and all that kind of shit. You know, grunting on your knees and acting like Esau calls them Neanderthals. But it's really just Edomites. Edomites in a base state of mind, because Job prophesied that they were the basest of men in Job the 30th chapter. Could you get that, Baba Kashan?
Yep,
and hold that too. You know, Edomites, they just exude pride and they're unclean people.
Job 30. But now, they that are younger than I have me in derision.
Yep, keep going.
Whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock.
Now, why did he disdain to set them with the dogs of his flock? Because dogs are filthy, dogs are dirty creatures, but you know what, dogs are just dogs. They're not as filthy as an Edomite. And he was scared that those Edomites start, you know, doing all kind of mad shit with them dogs, because Esau's into that, what do you call it, bestiality, pedophilia, all them nastiness shit. That's Esau's domain. Keep reading, sure.
Yeah, whereto the might strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished.
Yep, so their wisdom was gone. Keep going.
For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes, and juniper roots for their meat. They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as a thief.
Pause there, Baba Kashar. So they cried after them as a thief. So Esau is a thief. Everything that he is acquired to get to the place where he is at on the earth today, he has got it through deceitful means, through lying, through stealing, through robbing, through murdering. That's this guy's MO. And he's got to his top position at the moment by doing that. And what does he do? He turns around and says anybody who does what he does, oh, we're going to have, they'll be done for war crimes, or, you know what I mean? Like Esau robbed his way to the top, but anybody try and steal from him, not that we would want to do that, but like he'll bring down the heaviest penalties against everyone else, but yet he got to where he was by doing all them wicked things. Now the scriptures say, envy not the oppressor and choose none of his ways, but you've got, unfortunately, some of our people who are seduced by the ways of the wicked because they think that there is great gain through wickedness, but they've been deceived. You know what I mean? Righteousness is what will profit. Riches profit not in the day of wrath, and the day of wrath is closely approaching. Keep going, Brother Kushar. Did you read about the eagle? Keep going.
I'm still on Job 30.
I was like, yeah, back in over. I'll finish that off and then we go back to Job 30.
To dwell in the cliffs of the rock, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in the caves of the earth and in the rocks.
Yep, stop, pause there, Brother Kushar. And that, you can see that is indicative of this empire, because when you look at the architecture, especially around, you know, the affluent places in London, you can see that a lot of the architecture mimics the ancient Roman Empire in terms of their building structure. So they love to dwell in the caves. That's their nature. Keep going, Baba Kasha.
Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, children of base men.
And they were viler than the earth.
They were viler than the earth.
That's right, pause there, Baba Kasha. So they were viler than the earth. And what did the scriptures say? The earth is defiled unto the inhabitants thereof. You know? And what the scriptures also say, roughly paraphrasing, that as the ruler of the city is, so are they that dwell therein, roughly paraphrasing. There's another one on the tip of my tongue. Let me just see if I can remember it.
His soul that is in him is not upright.
That's a good one. Not the one I was looking for, but at some point, that's a good one. His soul that is lifted up is not upright in him. And Esau's been going off from day dot, man. All right back to when he was in his first incarnation as Cain. You know, he tried to offer the sacrifice, and he couldn't even do that right. And rather than check himself and be like, you know what, man, I offered the wrong sacrifice. Let me get myself in order. What did he do? Do you want to get it?
I got John
Genesis.
and I got.
you not got Genesis.
I got Genesis. I got John as well.
Oh yeah, bring it out, Baba Kasha. Yeah, see, he couldn't do no right, man. Now, rather than look in the mirror and say, you know what, man, like Michael Jackson, if you looked at the man in the mirror and fixed up, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But you know what, that's not right, because Yahweh ordained this to happen. So there's nothing Esau could have done against it. He was just created to play his part, and that's exactly what he's going to do. And he's done a good job at it. You know, he is a good villain. They do say in story writing and stuff like that, that the strength of the quality of your hero is determined by the strength of his adversary, the strength of his villain. So we've got a great adversary to go up against, which means, Lord willing, if we be of the elect and we do overcome and we get crowned, it's going to be a great thing. We'll have done a great achievement, a great work. Right,
I haven't got Genesis, but
okay.
I got John 3. It's the same topic.
Can't. I'll get Genesis.
Want to bring it out?
Yeah, bring it out and I'll get Genesis.
This is John 3 and 12. Not as Cain, who was of that wicked one, and slew his brother. And wherefore slew he him? Because of his own works were evil.
That's right.
And his brother's righteous.
Yep, so Cain had envy. Cain had jealousy in his heart towards his brother. And the scriptures say he that hateth his brother is a murderer. Nothing in the scriptures is superfluous. Everything that is there is written for a purpose and a reason. Because we go line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little and there a little. What Vocab Malone tried to call Hebrew hopscotch, which is just ridiculous. The only reason why he was hurt about that is because he can't do it. He can't dive into the scriptures the way we do and link things up the way like we're making a flipping like a puzzle. Yeah, like a puzzle or like a tapestry. You know, like you might see a woman might make a garment or whatever. You see it's nicely woven together. He can't do that because the Spirit's not in him. The Spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua has rested upon that man to be able to go into the Bible, break it down, and disseminate and teach the word. So what else can he do? He can only try and frustrate our purpose, which is to come against this truth, which is nothing new. They've done the same thing when we were trying to rebuild the temple back in the days of is it King Darius?
Zerubbabel?
Yeah, Zerubbabel, who was the leader at that time, who I believe was King David in the reincarnation.
Yeah, that's correct.
For those who can receive it. The heathens tried to frustrate our purpose when we were trying to rebuild the temple. And in the book of Ecclesiastes, King Solomon says there is nothing new under the sun. So what guys like Vocab Malone are doing, it's like I'm jumping around a bit on topic.
That's right. Flowing with the Spirit.
What guys like Vocab Malone are doing, trying to come up against this truth that we teach, is they're trying to frustrate our purpose just the way they tried to stop the building of the second temple. We represent that third temple coming back together, and they're trying to frustrate the purpose, but you can't fight against this truth. You can't do anything against the truth but for the truth. Right. It shows you don't understand the scriptures, because if you did, you know that it's a futile cause that you're trying to do. Have you got something?
I was looking for that in Zerubbabel.
Okay.
I found it.
Go
want to bring it out?
Baba Kasha, yeah.
This is 2nd Ezra's. This is Ezra's 4th chapter. Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity.
Pause there, Baba Kasha. So we've got adversaries.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people are simple. I remember some fucking idiot Edomite in the world. I knew this truth at that time, yeah. And I happened to be in a conversation with her, and I said, "Oh, I don't like many people. I consider these people to be my enemies." And she's like, oh, how can you say you got enemies? That makes me feel sad that you feel like you've got enemies. And I just looked at her, I thought, I'm not going to tell her this truth because I knew she was an Edomite. But you can't be fucking simple, man. You can't be fucking simple, man. This isn't flipping Sesame Street where everybody, oh, we're all going to be friends and sing song. No, there's enmity. There's enmity fucking going back right to Jacob and Esau in the womb. Us two nations in the womb in Jacob and Esau, we were fighting then. So you mean to tell me, okay, if we're fighting in the womb, now we come out into this world, which is predominantly wicked, you're telling me we're not going to have enemies now? Psalms, the 83rd chapter, goes in and breaks down that we do have enemies that are conspiring against us. Don't worry about it, just keep going on that, Baba Kushar.
Now when the adversaries of Judah and Benjamin heard that the children of the captivity builded a temple unto the Lord Yahushua, power of Israel, then came Zerubbabel and to the chief of the fathers and said unto them, let us build with you, for we seek your power as ye do.
Pause it, Baba Kushar. So they were trying to bring themselves in.
Yeah.
They wanted to try and engraft themselves in. And you know what? This is no different to them. So lucky I'm swearing.
Swear, mate, if you need to.
Do you know, I've got a fucking sharp tongue,
Yeah.
man, so just a little bit. This is the same thing that these fucking Christians are trying to do, trying to say that, oh, well, I'm a Christian and I'm a spiritual Israelite. They try and come up with that shit. You ain't no fucking spiritual Israelite, because you have to be of the seed of Jacob, Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, to call yourself an Israelite. Anything else, you're just lying to yourself, man. And Yahweh ain't hearing your bullshit, you know. You might be able to convince the world running up in the church, like, thinking that, oh yeah, I'm saved, I know Jesus, but you don't know shit. You don't know fucking shit. You shouldn't even be taking this book in your hand if you're of the other nations, man, because it ain't for you. Carry on, Baba Kushar.
Let us build with you, for we seek your power as ye do, and we do sacrifice unto him since the days of Ashahadadan,
Keep going, Baba Kushar.
king of Asher, which brought us up hither. Verse 3, but Zerubbabel and Joshua and the rest of the chief of the fathers of Israel said unto them, ye have nothing to do with us.
That's right, you have nothing to do with us. Nothing to do with us. Get the fuck out of here, man. Trying to come up in this shit. It's not shit, Salakia. Trying to come up in our thing and trying to bring yourself in, trying to graft yourself in. No.
In our facility.
Yeah, man. This is ridiculous. It's like, let me break this down, right? You're sitting at home and someone tries to come in your house. You're like, what the hell are you doing here, man? And he's like, oh, I live here now. Get the fuck out of here. You ain't part of this house. You know, and it's like Deuteronomy 7 and 6, Baba Kushar.
You still want me to hold on to this though?
No, that's the point on that,
that's
yeah.
it.
Yeah, you can't come in here. It's like a contract. You know, like, let's say you got a contract for something. Let's say you got a contract for a phone. Let's do it that way. And you're paying your monthly fees for the phone. Then someone else comes along and say, oh, that's my phone now. No, the contract wasn't given unto you. The covenant wasn't made with you. The covenant was made with me. Likewise, the covenant was made with the Israelites, not to any other nation. Read, Baba Kushar.
Deuteronomy 7 and 6. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord Yahushua thy power. The Lord Yahushua thy power have chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
That's right, so we are a special people unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. And you know what? That is exactly why the heathen nations hate us. And that's why they're trying to stop us from inheriting our glory, which is promised unto us. Promised unto us. So, jump to Psalms 83, Baba Kushar. So I know I'm jumping around a lot of places.
Bro, that's how it is. What's it? Precept upon precept, line upon line. Psalms 83.